welcome everyone that's here. Thanks for joining. Hopefully a couple more sprinkle in the next couple minutes. My name is Victor. I'm one of the payment experts here at Levelset. I speak with a lot of contractors, suppliers, equipment lessors every day about their challenges and ways we can hopefully help them. This webinar is going to be recorded, so we'll be sending out a link to it in case you need to leave early or whatever the case may be. And for people that aren't here, we'll also send a link if they signed up. And you can ask any questions throughout the webinar, and we're going to leave a couple minutes towards the end so we can answer those. But yeah, just send those in through the chat box, and we'll try to have those answered by then. So yeah, so I'm Victor. I have Mary here with me. She's the director of credit at SouthernCarlson. Mary, if you want to share anything else about yourself, the floor is yours.
No, I've been with SouthernCarlson for 27 years. So been used to the construction business for a long, long time. So we're fairly new to Levelset, but we're excited about our partnership.
Awesome. Yeah, so a lot of experience here with Mary. So just for today's agenda, we're going to be covering 4 topics mainly. So the current supply chain issues, how other suppliers in the industry are coping, what techniques are working using the strain, and how protecting your payments can help. And as I mentioned, at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A. So yeah, that'll pretty much be what we'll be going through. So first off, some of the common and current supply chain issues. So, I mean, Mary, you've been in the construction industry so long, you know that right now supply chain is causing troubles with everyone. So, I mean, what have you seen on your end that's been going on lately?
Well, of course, supply chain is part of that's due to COVID, or it is due to COVID and then we have the workforce issues, et cetera. What we're seeing currently is with the supply chain issues are causing inflationary issues, which is then what happens is cash is being replaced by inventory. So that's the biggest hurdle we're experiencing right now. You also have payments slowing down a little bit due to we'll pay you when we get paid, that kind of thing. So it's causing a trickle-down effect pretty well throughout everywhere. So from workers to not receiving product timely to prices increasing, et cetera. We do have something in place for hedge buying or hoarding as such, where there's a notification in place if someone's placing more than a 60-day supply, we get notified. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, for sure. That's a lot of the things I've been hearing as well with some of the other companies that I've spoken with. And yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, there's several techniques that people are trying out there, like hoarding materials, as you mentioned, and just keeping like more reserves for bad debts, just a bunch of different things, and like changing the payment terms. I've heard from a couple people, with whether that be with their vendors or with someone higher up the chain, whoever hires them, right? So yeah, I mean, you did mention a little bit of how you guys are handling it. Do you have any other insights as to how other people, like maybe other companies or things you've heard from other people?
You know, what I have heard is just I have a friend that's in the lumber business. They have problems with getting drivers to deliver their product, that kind of stuff. My company SouthernCarlson hasn't experienced that as such. Of course, there's a worker shortage, but we haven't had that kind of issues. So, but yeah, we do deal with the hoarding and that kind of stuff of product with the affecting cash. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that reminded me of someone I was speaking with yesterday. I won't mention their company, but yeah, I asked them like what they were dealing with, like how that was affecting their company with the supply chain issues. And yeah, I mean, their response was it's busy and expensive. Like it's just hard right now, and people are dealing with it in different ways. Some things work better than others. Depends on what you're doing, but yeah, these are some great insights.
well, and another thing also is if there's an item that we cannot get in, it's trying to find another item to replace that item that will work for the customers.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Like trying to find something else to make the process quicker.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, those are some of the things I've been hearing as well. Some of the tips and tricks, and of course, Carlson being such a big company, I mean, a lot to learn from. So I guess here, how can Levelset help with this? I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what tactics you're using, like during these times, like whatever the case may be, some are struggling more than others. You got to make sure that your money's protected. Like the money that you were promised, that you have earned, you got to make sure that's protected. Because now more than ever, there's less wiggle room for anything like this, right? So, I mean, Levelset comes into play in several ways. There's a couple of different products and services that a lot of our partners have been working with. I know SouthernCarlson uses most of our toolbox to keep their payments protected. So we'll dive into a couple of the ones that are most valuable in this aspect of the industry to ease some of the pain, right, with supply chain issues. So first off, it's something we call here internally Job Radar. So this answers the question as to how can I ensure that I have up-to-date project information, right? You want to know what's going on in your projects. Sometimes you don't really know what's going on with other people that are in the same projects as you are. And that's very helpful information, especially if you're further down the chain as a supplier. It can be hard to know what's going on higher up, right? And this is pretty much like the best way to prioritize your collections efforts. Some of the things that Job Radar alerts you about are liens filed by other people, payment delays, job completions, payments, customer payment reviews by other people that have been working in those projects or with those contractors, any bankruptcies, any licensing and tax alerts, and then whenever a notice of completion is filed. So I know, Mary, that SouthernCarlson does use Job Radar. So from what you've heard in your company or your personal experience, has this had any positive experience?
Yeah, one of the things, well, I look at it all the time as well as my team does. It's kind of interesting. It's very interesting, honestly, but like the other day I went on there and I had 2 customers whose license were suspended. That's great to know right away. Also, when other companies file liens on a job, then we know that we should probably follow suit on that, especially if we're having payment issues at the time. But yeah, there's a lot of good information in there.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing I like the most is that, I mean, the construction industry is very connected. So, I mean, if other people are having issues getting paid, especially if it's someone that started the project way before you, chances are your dollars are also going to take a detour, right?
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, for sure. This is something that we've heard from a lot of our partners that is very useful to at least know where to keep an eye on, right?
Right.
So next question that can be answered here is, how do I start sending preliminary notices on all my jobs? Because as many of you may know, this can be quite the manual task, quite the time consuming task. So it's best to have a process in place for something like this so you can prioritize other parts of your job. So this is pretty much the lien rights management software that we provide. The way this works is pretty much as soon as we receive your project information, that's fed into your system. There's multiple ways of doing this. It can integrate with your ERP or accounting system. We'll keep track of all the deadlines, all the requirements, especially if you're working in multiple states, like I know SouthernCarlson is. It's hard to keep track of all the different deadlines and requirements across state lines, and especially like who to send it to, what's going on. So you'll be able to receive alerts about deadlines, track everything in one place, so it's not all over the place, or you're trying to keep a spreadsheet going with a bunch of jobs. And you want to make sure that communication is clear, because I mean, whenever you're dealing with any supply chain issues, you want to make sure that everyone knows that you're on the job. You want to make sure that you're being protected in case you're having trouble getting materials, or you're having to spend a bit more money in this. You want to make sure that all your jobs are protected, all the way from the smaller ones to the $1 million ones. So, I mean, Mary, I know you guys have a ton of jobs that go through a system. I believe you're sending notices on most of your jobs, right?
Yes, we are. They're uploaded every day, but we do business in almost all 50 states, not all 50, but pretty close. And, you know, for us, it was trying to keep track of the lien laws in every state, and they change all the time. So that was an issue. Also, a lot of human error. I mean, if you miss a deadline, et cetera. So this kind of takes some of that pressure off as far as if we, that way we won't miss a deadline. We won't find out that there was a law that went into effect 2 months ago that we weren't notified or weren't aware of, that kind of stuff. So it just is automatic.
Yeah, no, you bring up a lot of good points. I mean, obviously human error can always occur. I mean, we all make mistakes. It's no one's fault. That's why it's best to have a process in place. And yeah, I know you mentioned like some laws are changing every now and then. I know Texas, the lien laws changed this year. I think Florida, it's in the works of possibly changing. So yeah, this is just a good way to always stay on top of everything. And even if you, for some reason, are not aware of some change, like we'll be able to keep that on track and make sure you don't miss any deadline or requirement that changed. Yeah, so I don't know if you have anything else to say about the lien rights management aspect.
No, I mean, at first we had customers not used to it, but now they're all getting used to it. They know who Levelset is now. And so it's gotten a lot easier. Yeah,
and that's the main idea here, that everyone can communicate on their jobs. And this is not something to threaten anyone, right? This is something just to protect your jobs.
Right.
So yeah, great insights. Another question that needs to be asked here is, how do I reduce the time I spend on job information research and ensure accuracy? And this is tied to lien rights management. I mean, whenever you're thinking of sending a notice, it's hard to know some of the people that are in your job. If you're a supplier, like you might not even know at times where your materials are going or where your equipment is going if you're renting it out. So I know, especially for suppliers, this is something that has been very useful. So basically here, we have something that we call our Scout Research Team. The way it works is they will go in and research all your project information and fill in the gaps that are missing. Maybe you might not know who the lender on a project is. You might not know who the property owner is. We can fill that in for you so that you can have all the correct information on the notices that you're sending, and your lien rights are protected in the correct way. Because I mean, we know that if something's missing or something goes wrong with the notices that you're sending, you might not be protecting your jobs correctly, and that can affect you down the road if anything goes south. So yeah, we'll go ahead and confirm any of the details that you've given us, and make sure nothing's incorrect. Maybe the couple of numbers might be incorrect, whether it's 316 might be 361, the correct address, right? So we'll go ahead and confirm that for you. And as I mentioned, like there's a lot of times where there's a lot of people that require notices, property owner, lender, whoever hired you, whether that be the general contractor or sub. And there's just a lot of people that need to be sent a notice at times. So, I mean, going back to the whole supply chain issue, with all these delays going on, I know that protecting your payments is simply just like the best way to make sure your cash is still flowing and you're not having to hoard too many materials or keep or be scared of just like losing out on that cash, since you're already stressing about the material prices going up and some of them not being able to be acquired even. So, I mean, Mary, in your experience, I know you guys use the highest tier of research, Scout Ultimate, for your notices. Do you find that like a lot of these gaps are being filled, or have you had any trouble before then having to find that information yourself?
Well, Scout Research has taken a lot of research work off of my team, because our sales staff is the one that obtains the information. Some of them are good, some of them are not detail oriented. And so they do write down numbers wrong, they get the wrong general contractor, the legal description is incorrect, numerous things. And so it is nice to have somebody verifying and checking that information. And like I said, that used to be kind of on my team to try to research, and now we have professionals doing it, so we don't have to do it basically.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, going back to that human error, I mean, sometimes it's like not even that you're trying to do it wrong. It just happens at times. And sometimes, yeah, you can just have like one number incorrect and the whole address is wrong.
Right, or like transposing of a number. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anything pretty much. Yeah, I know with a lot of companies, like it's the sales team that gets the initial information. I don't know if that's the case with you guys, but I mean, I know that that's not the main priority for them, like getting every detail correct. They're just trying to get sales out the door. So yeah, a lot of things can slip through the cracks. Yeah, so for sure, this is a great way to, I mean, even to just simply save time on doing all this research, right? So you can focus on better things.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the job research aspect of the lien rights management. I covered pretty much everything. So I guess those are like the main parts of the toolbox here with Levelset that will help you pretty much get paid on all your jobs and relieve some of that cash stress that I know has been very, very hard on a lot of companies these past two years, I guess past year. So, I mean, if this is something that people listening are interested in, you can always request a demo at our website, levelset.com, request demo. And one of our payment experts here will show you kind of how the platform looks and what's the best fit for whatever your needs are. We went over a couple of things that Mary uses this for. but it might be different for every company, right?
Right.
So I guess now we move into any questions that we may have. I guess I wanted to ask you, Mary, a question to give some time for some of the people listening to ask a couple more questions. Do you worry about any long-term negative effects of these current supply chain delays?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's temporary, but I don't know how long. Nobody knows how long it will last. I think that's the biggest issue, is nobody knows how long it will last.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, I know that's a hard question. No one knows. Yeah, I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that, since you've been in the industry for so long. I don't know if you've had any other experience with a time where it was similar to now, where the supply chain was pretty bad.
No, I don't. I remember, back in 2008, 2009, kind of when the construction market crashed as such. But this is kind of new territory now, what we're going through. So I don't think anybody knows for sure how long this will last, what the long-term impacts will be. When the worker shortage will go away, when any of this is going to get better, we just don't know. We all hope it goes away tomorrow, but I think tomorrow the airports are going to be shut down. So yeah, I don't know. I did want to add something, Victor, though, about the software. One of the things that my team has been enjoying, and there's another piece to that, is there is a place in there that you can send out a payment demand, and it's optional. You don't have to do it. And we don't use it very often. But once in a while, like if we're struggling getting payment, there's a button that you can hit for a payment demand. And it is a letter as such, but you can choose who it goes to. So you can send it just to the general contractor, or just to your customer, or you can send it to everybody, the lender, and then you get to choose if you would like it to be friendly, or off the top of my head, I don't know what the verbiage is, but you get to choose how stern you would like the letter to be. But we have used that, and it has worked successfully for us. So that's an option in the software also.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that's worked for you. Yeah, and I know that's like, once it's getting to a point where, the payments are not coming in, right? You want to take a little bit more action without having to file a lien. Yeah, that's definitely a really good option to use. So I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm seeing one of the questions here. What has been the most useful tactic you've used to combat the delays currently?
Delays in payment, is that what they're asking? Probably.
I guess supply it's chain. More on supply chain, yes.
Like I said, we haven't had a huge issue with material. Ours has been more the inventory. Ours has been more inventory issues more than anything, as far as us purchasing inventory and impacting cash flow. Ours is more the supply issue is causing inflationary issues. So I'm not sure what the best would be. I think having the alert in place on what people can purchase has helped immensely.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, for sure.
I don't know if that answers the question, but that's the best that I.
No, yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, that's also a tough question. I mean, it's hard to mention like one thing. I'm guessing that like will solve any issue, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, and I'm not really directly involved with the inventory piece either. So
mhm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know you're not involved with anything with a lot of these things. I mean, you got a lot on your plate. So, another question here. Where does your research team get their info for all the notices? I guess that was for me actually. My bad. That's Levelset's team, yeah. Um, so our team gets it from multiple places. So one is our simply the community that we built. I mean, we get a lot of info from Carlson, for example. We have a bunch of other like big suppliers and contractors that are feeding their projects into our system, and we can see who's there. And then we partner with a couple of other construction data softwares like Dodge Data. We also get fed information from, I can't remember exactly how much, but like a lot of the county recorders around the country. So anything that's filed through there, we'll get pretty much immediately, and we'll be able to share it through the platform, and that's where we'll be able to show you all the info necessary for your notices, and then also the job radar. If anyone else is filing liens or notice of intent or a bankruptcy happens, that's where we'll notify you. As soon as we get that information, we'll send an alert, and that'll be yours. Pretty much, you'll have access to all our info.
Victor, you guys probably have a connection with the building permits, et cetera, too, don't you?
Yeah, so we do in like some of the counties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess it's just like a mix of a lot of the it's a mix of a lot of places that we get all our info from. And then a lot of them will be the same information, obviously, so that helps us confirm it, right? So I guess those are the main places. So yeah, just a variety of places, but all those construction databases and everything we built throughout the years, it's a pretty big construction database now. So another question here. So it says, I work for a large nationwide company. Our locations aren't super centralized. How did you implement any software, Mary? It's messy for us in the past. So I guess they're asking like how the implementation of our software was for you guys, since, I mean, in some cases that can be a bit messy.
Levelset has an awesome team of trainers that we had weekly calls with my team we are not centralized, we're decentralized. So I have my team is spread across the United States. So the locations that they would be, or the states that they would be responsible for, they would be trained by the Levelset team. We had weekly Teams calls, and they stayed on the phone, question and answers. They took one-on-one phone calls for anyone that was questioning. Really and truly, the Levelset software is super easy to use, but people learn at different levels, and the trainers recognize that. So they were very, very patient and understanding that a few are going to take additional resources or time explaining. So they worked with our IT team, got it all loaded. We upload new jobs every morning. We upload our AR to those jobs daily, so the dollar amounts match. it was pretty seamless. We didn't do it. We didn't do all states at the same time. However, we did it in phases. I believe 3 different phases we did it in. So, but very smooth.
Awesome. Yeah, I know every time we get a new customer, they get assigned an account manager that's like taking care of them throughout the whole way. And also like the onboarding team is great.
Right.
They'll like set everything up with you. We'll work with your IT team to get the software up and running, and then teach whoever is going to be using it how to use it, right?
Right, and then also how it works for us anyway, and everybody would be different. I see the entire country when I log in. My team only sees what they are responsible for. So if I have somebody with, well, of course, Texas is on its own, but the person responsible for Texas only sees Texas. They don't have to view all the other locations. So,
anyway. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's
that answers the question.
No, yeah, that was a super good answer. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I know like there can be multiple users there, so it's not like you're having to share one account and like you have to wait for someone to finish using it and then pass it on to someone in another state.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess we can start to wrap up now. Hopefully those were all the questions answered. I'll go to the last slide. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Mary. And thanks to everyone who joined. Just as a reminder, we're going to be sending out an email with a recording of this webinar in case you want to see it again or in case you didn't make it. And then you can follow up with any questions there if you need to. And again, there's the link if you want to request a demo for a platform or some of our other services. We'll always be happy to go through that with you. So thank you again, Mary. It was great having you here. Hope we can do it again. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.